So I started making t-shirts in high school, and I would go to my cafeteria and bring in like screen printed tees or spray painted tees and try to sell them. And then I kind of got addicted to making clothing, but I was really like buying Gildan tees, spray painting on them, nothing really that complicated. And then slowly I started progressing. I started Googling manufacturing. I started getting samples. I converted my dorm room into a store when I went to college. So everybody was coming to my dorm to buy KidSuper. And then slowly and progressively, we ended up here. So if you ask my parents what they thought I was gonna be when I grew up, they'd say a soccer player. And so since I was a little kid, my first word was ball. I was a real, soccer player. And so with fashion, I've tried to accomplish my soccer dreams. So I don't know if you guys know, but I've gotten recently to play with Ronaldinho, Kaká, Marcelo, Makalele, Maicon, and the list goes on. So it's been pretty amazing. And I got Ronaldinho to walk my fashion show, which I think is one of the best moments of my life. And I asked Ronaldinho what was better, walking my show or winning a World Cup. And he was like, very different, both very different. Obviously, these jerseys are kind of risk-taking. They weren't subtle, they weren't simple, and I could have gone that route and pleased maybe more people, but for me, this was a moment to kind of stand out. Also, these are like the third kids. So I always think when you have a third kid, you should be creative and try to be as audacious as you possibly can. And so that's what I was going for. And it was interesting. All of these clubs have such rich histories and are from such different places. So I wanted to honor each city, honor each fan base. And so if you look into each of the designs, I think there's more thought than people think. Even the like BVB one, the top pattern is the honeycomb based on the bee mascot, and the Man City one is an illustration of the Poznan of the fan base. And so the Monterrey one's a mountain. The Malawi Sundowns is the setting sun. So there's a lot of details there. So what people don't see is you get denied a lot. And like even getting a lot of these approved was quite difficult because there's a lot of different colors, there's a lot of FIFA rules and regulations. And so probably for each jersey, I designed 6 jerseys. So total of jerseys was like, I probably designed over 50 jerseys, and some clubs didn't make it to the World Club Cup that I already had to design for. So there's some that'll never see the light of day. So that was really fun. But yeah, you should see all my I probably made like 15 Man City jerseys. And there's so many different parts that went into, we even went to like the tiling in Man City's brick walls that we added to, and then that didn't really work. And then for AlHilal, we went like a complete gold one because we wanted to show that, but that wasn't allowed. So there's a lot of different things that weren't allowed. It was way harder than anyone thinks because also these are hand painted. So like even these concepts, I'm having to paint like a full painting, and then they'll be like, no, that's not allowed. And you're like, God damn it. So yeah, it was harder than people think. And, I was a little worried because obviously, soccer or football fan bases can be really difficult and really tough to please. And so these were risky jerseys, and seeing the positive reaction from some of the fan bases is amazing. Obviously, I see some of the hate comments, but you just aren't understanding, guys. It's a good question. I think both there's some jerseys that become iconic just because of the time and place, not necessarily the design. The other thing that I think is interesting that people don't talk about, but the chest sponsor was such a big design asset. And so some of these jerseys leaked without the chest logo. And I was like yelling at who I was like, it's gonna hurt. Everyone's gonna think we missed out on something. So yeah, the chest design's really important, the sponsorship, and like the time and place. So whoever wins, I think will make the design better. There's moments like, I always think of like the O2 Arsenal jersey. Is it a really good design? I don't know, but that O2 logo is doing a lot. But then you think of Thierry Henry, you think of all the players. So there's a lot that goes into making a kit iconic, but I like the ridiculous, the more crazy jerseys. There's some hilarious ones. I mean, we have like a whole inspo board when we were designing this, but there's an amazing like Japanese one that just has like a giant shrimp on it. And that's, we were seeing what we were allowed to do and not allowed to do. But I actually, now that I've seen it, I think the people out there, you got to see them in person because they're looking really nice. Some of the photos aren't doing it justice. In 2020, obviously, KidSuper wasn't where it is now, and I was dying for a shoe because when you're starting a clothing brand, I think that's like the epitome of like, oh shit, we made it. We have our own shoe. And so I was begging PUMA, Adidas, Nike, anybody, and they had all sent me kind of a contract. All the brands had sent me a really small contract at the time, but Puma's was like talking about soccer. And that was the thing that I kept pushing because the brand saw me more as a fashion designer. And I was telling them, I'm so good at soccer. Let me do soccer stuff. And so that was what was really fun. And one of the first things that we did with PUMA was a soccer cleat back in the day. And now we got to bring it back. But it is funny because when we go in the meeting, they're trying to do fashion and I'm trying to do sport. And it's a funny like disconnect because they're a sports brand. So they're like, this is our fashion moment. And I'm like, this is my sports moment. So we're always going back and forth. So that's been what I think has been amazing. And I think people should give me more credit. But you see all these collaborations getting so much popularity where they're just color switching, right? They take a already iconic silhouette and put it in a different color. And I think what's been really cool about my PUMA stuff is I'm doing completely custom uppers on my shoes. We're allowed to do completely different things. And I don't think it's getting the same amount of, because of the iconic silhouettes, that gives all these other collabs a lot of power. But I think we should look at completely original design and give that more credit than it's currently getting. Not that not saying I need more credit, but some of the designs we've really pushed the limit and they've gone a little bit under the radar. But shout out to PUMA. Also, it's been a really cool, I think a lot of times people think like when you collaborate with these big brands, there's a corporate guy who's like, you can't do this, you can't do that. But there's actually a human that's pretty cool. And if you can convince them and present a good argument of why your decisions should work, they're down. So we've done amazing things, but also on the promotional side, we've done amazing. We've done cartoon series with PUMA. We've shot some really interesting stuff. We did a Hector Bellerin collab. I got another thing coming next Fashion Week, which I'm not going to tell you, but it's going to be pretty cool. But yeah, shout out to PUMA. Yeah, it's funny. It's also funny because I see a couple of brands like trying to do what we're doing a little bit, but I was just doing full bucket list stuff. Like that's how authentic it was. It was like, I want to do this. How can I accomplish that goal within KidSuper? And that my interests were soccer, art, fashion, and music. So it became quite natural. But if you look at the history of KidSuper, not that it's like this crazy long history, but we've been tied into those things since day one. Soccer was always, I mean, I'm more of a soccer player almost than I am a fashion designer. Well, it was very funny because when I was doing soccer 5 years ago, everybody was like, why are you doing this? And now you see people wearing cleats on the street, which is crazy. Or jerseys have become so big. But yeah, I think it's funny because I'll see people do soccer collabs and I'm like, send me their highlights. If they don't have highlights, they shouldn't be allowed. Same reason why I haven't made a skateboard yet, because I'm not like that good at skateboarding, but I can heel flip, which I think that's like an around the world, which I think if you can do that, you should be allowed. I'm like pretty decent at skateboarding. So, but I haven't done it because I didn't feel like I was a full skater. So a lot of people are doing soccer stuff where I'm like, come on. So Ronaldinho's my full god, and I had been Instagramming like, I love you, Ronaldinho. You're the best, Ronaldinho. I'll marry you, Ronaldinho, for 10 years. And I didn't think he would see it. And but it would be funny. I would drop a KidSuper collection and then just post happy birthday, Ronaldinho. Like, it was that obsessive. And some kid shout out to Emery, on Instagram was like, I know Ronaldinho. And I was like, no way you know Ronaldinho. And I would respond to basically anyone on DM that would talk about Ronaldinho. And anyways, through his father who met Ronaldinho randomly and blah, 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 we got a group chat going with me and Ronaldinho's brother. Through all that, I was like, I met with them and it was very funny because they were like, so what do you want? And in my mind, it was like, this meeting is kind of what I wanted, but if I can dream as big as I can, I was like, what if Ronaldinho walked a fashion show? And I think they realized how passionate I was for the game and how passionate I was for them. And they were down. And then the best part about it is after, they were like, you want to come play with us? And so I got to play with Ronaldinho. I don't know if you've seen the highlights, but I have a goal where Ronaldinho assisted me on Colombian national television. So, I mean, that's a childhood dream. So shout out to Ronaldinho, my legit god. He's my background on my phone.